We've been on a long walk and the puppies are pooped, thank goodness. I was raised an atheist, and as such, I didn't learn things like how to pray or, go on Hoshi, go on girl, or how to have faith. And I was actually told that religion is the opiate of the masses. That was a slogan in the 1900s, late 1800s. Union organizers and socialists who believe in creating a society with equality for a lot of people, not just the 2% or the 1%. And I didn't really learn to pray until I started going to 12-step meetings. I went to Adult Children of Alcoholics. My parents weren't alcoholics. They were children of alcoholics themselves. So they didn't drink. My biological father did, but he committed suicide when I was 18 months old. So my stepfather and my mother were adult children of alcoholics. I inherited that behavior from them, and when I started going to 12-step meetings, I learned to pray. I learned the Serenity Prayer, and I loved it. Actually, if you've never looked up the full version, look up the full version. It's so cool, because being a bit of a perfectionist myself, which a lot of adult children are, we want to control everything and make everything right for everybody, because obviously Spirit isn't doing a good enough job. I'm being sarcastic. The full version is about learning to accept the world as it is and pointing out that Jesus, who I look at as a great avatar, not as, a religious figure, and he wasn't the Christian church, didn't exist before Jesus, and he's probably rolling over in his grave with what's happened in the name of Christianity and Catholicism. But the full version is something like learning to accept the world as it is and learning to kind of hold on to yourself and what you believe as you walk through this very imperfect world. And I love that prayer because it taught me that great idea of knowing the difference between what we can change and cannot change. And then I learned to pray as I got more into meditation and Eastern practices of meditation, not the Christian-based New Age meditations of feel good and manifest wealth and manifest a great body without having to go to the gym, that sort of thing. And plus I have a very authentic teacher, my main teacher for about 40 years. So how I pray is I curse like a pirate. I'm just sitting there, I throw shit at my altar, and what an altar is to me is it makes a place for me to meditate, and it has on it things that mean a lot to me, that remind me of the sacred. And when people say, oh, you're so spiritual, you have an altar, and it's like, no, I actually have it to remind me to be spiritual. I think really spiritual people don't even need an altar, but I need to sit somewhere and look at things that remind me why I give a shit about a lot of things. When I get really frustrated with Earth and everything and can't figure out why the Creator or whoever's running the universe is allowing so many shitty things to happen. So I sit in front of my altar and I'm just like, you MFer, and this, I hate this person, and I'd like to kill this guy or this woman, and oh my gosh, and my meditation teacher actually has made fun of me, saying, you should hear this one pray. And he said something like, her altar should be burning up or something like that, and he's laughing. And then, of course, he said, no, it's a good thing. Why is it a good thing to pray like that? Because who else are you going to be the most honest with besides yourself and Spirit? Really, I'm going to get in front of Spirit and try to be a little codependent, ACA, perfectionistic, good girl so that, I get what I want or I'm going to get to heaven? I don't think so. So I pray and I dump all my junk out and all my hate and vitriol, and with that prayer I do say, I'm ready to let this horrible crap go, these horrible feelings, these ugly feelings, and if it's in my highest good, please take it from me. That's one prayer I do. And that prayer doesn't mean it gets taken away, because sometimes now that I've brought something to consciousness and I'm willing to admit it and be honest, Spirit very often then keeps that in front of my face for a long time. And it gets worse before it gets better, because Spirit's like, well, now that you're finally facing all this garbage, now we can work on it together. So we're going to keep it in your face until you heal and learn everything you need to learn from these experiences or these hard feelings. So that's one way of prayer that I do, praying that I do, of, it's just shadow work, cleaning out the basement of dirty, rotting boxes. And I still do that. I've been doing that for about 50 years, and I still do it. When people, sometimes I'll give them a thing to do like that, and they'll come back 2 weeks later and go, well, I did it. I said, well, that's like telling me I brushed my teeth for a week. Now what? It's like, well, you keep brushing your teeth, like forever. You brush your teeth forever. So I do that prayer forever, because things are always pissing me off. The war in Gaza, our current regime, violence against people, you name it. I still have this thing that, I should run the world and make it much better, but I know I have no talent for that. But I'm so pissed off at this human world sometimes, even though I know that's not, quote, the right perspective to have as a spiritual being. The truth is, I get pissed off. So another thing I do when I pray is I tell Spirit everything I want. Like, I don't want to work for a living anymore. I'm old. I want retirement. Or I want people to be nicer to me because they're so shitty and mean, and especially in this area where, they're fundamentalist evangelical Christians. And if you're not in their church, you're going to get either they'll try to enroll you or give you the cold shoulder or something like that, or sometimes they curse you out, I guess, or try to put curses on you. So I do, like a screaming 3-year-old, talk about all the things I'd like to have, but I end that prayer with this statement: what I really want more than anything is what is best for my highest good. And what I'm saying with that is, I don't know what's my highest good, because I'm a 4-year-old compared to the universe, to Spirit or Yoda, whatever you work with. So I'm going to say what I really feel and what I really want, but what I really, really want is that this higher power to guide me and lead me and tell me the wisdom that I can't even ask for. I opened this meditation studio about 12 years ago, and people see it and they go, you manifested this, la, 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 la. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I didn't manifest this shit. First of all, I didn't think I had anything to teach. And I've always helped people, as a secret agent. And I always think, they come to me, and Spirit sends them to me, I'm going to do my best. But to actually hang out a shingle and charge money and say, I'm doing this and I know how to do this. So first of all, I never imagined that. Second of all, if I did, it would be more like in Santa Cruz or Santa Barbara, not in a white supremacist, right-wing, fundamentalist Christian town that has a lot of weapons. And the women are mean here. There's some mean Christian women here. They're tough. Maybe from dragging their men to church. I don't know. Hold on a second. I got to find my dog. Hoshi! Hoshi, come on. Come. So if I was manifesting that, it would be, in Santa Barbara or Carpinteria or, Santa Cruz by the ocean, where they have organic food and groovy people. Not here. I should have never been able to open a meditation studio here and make it work. So when I say give me what I need for my highest good, the universe gives me things I could have never prayed for, ever, ever. Just like, a 4-year-old couldn't pray for, say, a great mentor, boss, or supervisor. They're 4. They haven't even had a job yet. They can't even know that that's something that is wonderful to have and they should pray for it. And I still consider myself a 4-year-old when it comes to the universe, sometimes 2. The point is, I encourage people to be very, very, very honest and very real. Okay, now I have to pause the video because I haven't found my dog, so hang on a second. There she is. I had to blow a whistle. Good girl. Good come. Yeah, good. Very good little teeny tiny dogs. Okay. And now we're not only talking about prayer, we're talking about faith. Faith isn't, I have faith that I'm going to get what I want. That's what I find in a lot of the church people out here is, I'm a good person and a good Christian, so Jesus gave me what I want. My business is thriving and, my kid got into this college, etc. But faith is believing or hoping that something will work out when there's no evidence of it working out whatsoever. Like my meditation studio. I've never been in business. I've never been public. I didn't know how to do this. It was a nightmare. Faith is like those stories in the Bible, where you read God said, put your son on the altar and chop his head off, and then it turns out to be a tusk. That's what faith is to me, which is no idea how the hell it's going to work out, but the door keeps opening, and so I keep putting one foot in front of the other. My dog is running up the hill. Can't even see her. Get it. And I just, keep following the current. To me, that's faith. And where it's taking me, I don't even know. And this is when it gets a little bit tricky, too, because good dogs. If you haven't worked on yourself, it's not clear whether faith is leading you or your wounded self is leading you. Whether it's, your intuitive connection with spirit, or it is your wounded little child inside of you screaming for attention or a guy or recognition or whatever. So I don't tell people, just have faith and follow your intuition. It's like, no, you got to heal first and feel energetically the difference between when spirit's got a hold of you and when some part of you, if you're talking IFS language, some wounded voice inside of you who's scared says, no, you should do this, and this man is meant to be, and he meets all your criteria, etc. It's pretty funny, actually, a lot of times when I do readings and somebody will say, am I going to meet my person? And I say, yeah, like in 2 years. And they go, what's he or she like? And I said, I can't tell you, because if you met them now, you wouldn't be attracted to them. And here's the first thing I always hear. I swear, it's so funny. They go, why? Are they fat? That's like the first thing. Oh my God. And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with fat or ugly. It's just who you're attracted to now. They're not the person you're going to be attracted to in 2 years if you do your work on yourself. And a really extreme example of this is somebody I did readings for who was working in New York and making a shit ton of money and like dating the Prince of Monaco and riding around a Mercedes and snorting cocaine, and wanted to know about, her career and money. And I kept telling her, life's going to be really different in a couple of years. And she finally got tired of hearing that because I wouldn't tell her any details because it would have screwed up her brain if I had said anything to her more than that. A couple of years later, she contacts me, and she's now living in Venice, California. She's a vegan. She's a yoga teacher. She's learning astrology. And the love of her life is this kind of scruffy healer dude who doesn't make any money, completely sort of unorganized, and has 8 dogs that rule the house. And so it's always, a mess with dog hair and dog toys and everything. Really different than a penthouse in Manhattan and riding around in a limo. But if I had told her that a few years earlier, it would have messed her up, and she may have even, taken some reactive measures against that prediction. So how could she pray for the perfect guy? Because where she was at the time, her perfect guy at that time was a nightmare. And when she shifted and changed, her perfect guy was completely different than who she was first looking for. And that's what faith is like. Faith is saying, here's what I want, and here's what I feel, and here's what I believe. But really what I want is for you, Spirit, to, oh, look at that cool root. Wow. I love this trail. What I really want is for you, Spirit, to take me, to a place I've never been before. It's like Star Trek, strange new world where no person has gone before. That is faith. And again, if you're wounded, that means, you might run off with a Coke dealer and think it's meant to be. Seriously, I've met people who say, this is my twin flame, and he or she has cheated on me, and they pulled a knife on me, and then they were dealing Coke again, but they're my twin flame because I feel it and I know it. And like, oh my God, this is so dysfunctional. Where do you even start? And this brings me also to helping people and also to learning. I believe everything we get into, we learn from. And if we hang on to that, we can get some good out of situations rather than just traumatized or just surviving. And also then that keeps us from, jumping into spiritual bypassing and trying to feel good and just say, that kicked my ass, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lesson out of it, but I don't know what it is right now. So if we pray, for example, like, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, what we're telling Spirit is the only thing you can work on with me is losing weight. Because we have just set up some boundaries. All I'm willing to see and talk about is my weight. Well, what if Spirit has to first show you how much you hate yourself and how mad you are at your mom or your dad? And when you heal that, your metabolism will change and your eating addiction will change naturally because you got to the source of the pain that was driving you and slowing down your body. So if somebody comes to me about weight loss and I have to talk to them about trauma, they can get mad. They're like, no, I came to you for this. And it's like, yeah, but the starting point for that is way over here. And that's faith again. And this gets harder because when you're working with a human helper, you don't know if they're any good. So they might just be telling you some BS stories. So this is not simple working with faith. You have to use a little bit of trial and error. If you want to succeed commercially and somebody says, I want to work on my weight, you work on their weight. Like people want to work on their weight and I say to them, you can't lose weight with the makeup you use, the laundry detergent you use, and all the poisons that you're exposed to, and your nail polish and all of that, because those are xenoestrogens and they attract fat, and it's almost impossible to lose that fat. So you can't even lose weight until you clean up your body and the toxins and the cleaners and the carpet cleaners, the laundry soap that you're using. And they're like, what? What are you, nuts? If I had a good business model, I could say, go on this diet and this diet will work. But I have to say, no, I know you want to lose weight, but we have to start way over here. And again, not everybody is good at that. So commercially, a lot of times people give people what they say they want. They capitulate to that in order to keep their business running and get good reviews. Or then they can shame the person and say, well, my diet works for everybody. It didn't work for you. You probably didn't do a good job following that diet. That's a scamming thing that goes on a lot with New Age stuff. You didn't intend enough, and that's why it didn't manifest, and you have negative thoughts and negative feelings, and they shame people, and it's your fault that you didn't get what you wanted to get. I want to show people how to heal and then how to feel the energy of working with Spirit. It's nothing you can describe, and you can't teach it. You have to give people the experience of it. And also, I try to give people a bit of a healing, even if it's off track. You know, the person says, I want to work on weight. And I say, well, let's work on this first. Something that will give them a big enough shift that they go, I don't know what just happened, but something happened and it's making a difference. And I trust Spirit to do that. And that's hard for me because I now have to make a living doing this. So part of me is like telling Spirit, like, really? This person wants this and you want me to do what? Oh my goodness. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how that's going to work. There's faith again. So I want to encourage people to pray, because if you pray the way that I talked about, what also comes out of that is that when you go to see a healer or a shrink, or you go to a 12-step meeting, since you practice being super honest with Spirit, you will have a little bit of that strength under your belt of being able to show up places where you want to get some help, or you want to work with other people. It will give you the courage and the practice towards honesty, instead of trying to be the good Christian or the good New Ager who did the workshop the right way and is following all the rules and to get the right results. Instead, you're learning just to be super honest and see what happens. Faith. This is hard stuff, to convey to people. And it's hard for the people who are looking for this too, because there's so many not good, not experienced, or I don't know how to describe it, practitioners that just, are commercial and don't have a lot of talent or education, or sometimes they have one but not the other. You will get spectacular results if you start praying like this. Be honest, curse, say what you feel, be jealous, tell Spirit you don't even believe in them, throw shit, write out horrible, fantasies of killing people, raping children, whatever's in your brain. Seriously, it's there anyway. You think Spirit doesn't know it? And then burn that shit with a little prayer. I'm ready to let this go if it's in my highest good. Please take it from me. When people tell me that I've let this go, I'm like, okay, no they haven't. Because I don't let go of shit. I work on stuff until one day it's just not there anymore. Spirit removed it when it was time. And the removal isn't like, oh, this big miraculous thing happens. What happens to me is one day I go to get it. Like, oh, I'm so pissed off at, and it's just not there. Just like in another podcast video thing, I talked about someone learning long division. I said, how did that happen? She goes, I have no idea. It just one day was there. Well, that's, to me, that is how we do this healing, deep healing work. We get out a shovel and a pickaxe and we climb in the sewer and we get dirty and curse and scream and yell and feel hopeless and helpless and give up and do it again. And then one day you go there to hate your dad or hate yourself, and it's just gone. Wow. And then you can notice how different you feel. It's like, I don't even know when it left. It's amazing. Because this is now when you're working directly with Spirit. And when we can honestly face things inside of us and honestly ask for help for our highest good, instead of trying to boss God around or the Creator, whatever you work with, say, help me with this. It's like a 2-year-old saying, I want you to help me with my toy. And you could help them with so much more than just the toy. But if they don't ask, you can't do it. So practice praying and get an altar if you want. My altars have stones and pictures on them, and I change it out. I find a rock from a place I went that means a lot to me, or a bone, or there's a poem I'm interested in, it goes on the altar. Whatever helps you remember the sacred and remember that you're bigger than your journey. It can help you focus when you sit down to pray and meditate. I cry a lot when I pray. I scream a lot. I curse like crazy. I grew up in New York, so that's a normal thing for New Yorkers is cursing. And when I feel reverence, I express that as well. But I don't express reverence, just to be a good girl or to try to seduce the Creator into thinking I'm more holy than I feel. I hope this helps. And I'm still a skeptic, no longer an atheist. I don't know what's out there. It's definitely not a human, though, that I will say. And I don't believe in religion. I believe in a spiritual practice. A lot of religions, you go somewhere, you do stuff, and then like, okay, I did my thing, and then you go back and live your life without that energy. To me, we have a practice that we bring into our daily life. We bring it to the supermarket. We bring it to family reunions. We bring it to our job. We call it in the most uncomfortable situations, in the most unholy situations. We call it in. What am I learning? What's the connection here? How's my energy feeling? All right, another beautiful walk, another beautiful day. And I'm liking the comments. Thanks for coming forward and meeting me. It's a lonely time right now on the planet, especially here in America. More later.